Okay, let me be very, very clear about this. Clayton Williams, back in 1990, he was the Republican candidate for governor of Texas against Ann Richards, as I recall. Ann ended up winning, by the way. And he said during that campaign about rape, and I quote, "As long as it's inevitable, you may as well lie back and enjoy it," end quote. Obviously, that was an incredibly insane and ignorant comment, and arguably it lost him the election. Fast forward 24 years. Today, that's the argument that's being used, this same insane rationale, with regard to the Keystone XL Pipeline. They're saying, hey, as long as it's inevitable, we should just accept it and learn to love it. They're also saying that America is a fossil fuel dependent nation, and that the Keystone Pipeline will help lower gas prices in America and make us more energy independent. But A, the Keystone Pipeline is not inevitable. B, America does not have to be a fossil fuel dependent nation. And C, the oil from the Keystone Pipeline is not going to do anything to help gas prices in this country or make us less fossil fuel dependent. The Keystone Pipeline is not about America and fossil fuels. It's about TransCanada, a Canadian transnational corporation, wanting to get their incredibly dirty fossil fuel out of Canada and into some third world country that's willing to refine it and keep the poison so that they can export it to China. Big oil supporters and pundits across the media have been saying that the use of tar sands oil from Canada and the construction of the Keystone XL Pipeline are inevitable. It's not true. On Monday's episode of The Big Picture, I talked with Susan Casey-Lefkowitz, director of the International Program for the National Resources Defense Council, about the State Department's report on what the Keystone XL pipelines what the report said, the report that was released last week. I asked her if the report said that extracting tar sands oil from Canada was an inevitable process. And she was quite clear about it. She said tar sands oil development is not inevitable, no matter what the pundits and the big oil supporters are going to try and tell you. She pointed out that some people have even said that if we don't build the Keystone XL pipeline, dirty and toxic tar sands oil will still be transported across the United States by rail. But due to its complex nature, that's the argument that's made, but due to its complex nature, tar sands oil isn't well equipped to travel by train. And it's also more expensive to transport by rail, so it's really not a viable option. Either way you slice it, the use of tar sands oil is not inevitable. We don't have to, or the Canadians don't have to extract that dirty, toxic, dangerous stuff from the ground. Now, what about the talking point that America is a fossil fuel dependent nation and that we're going to be for the foreseeable future and that because of that, building the Keystone Pipeline makes sense? Well, America is becoming less and less of a fossil fuel dependent nation. The U.S. solar industry had its second largest quarter ever during the third quarter of 2013. Residential solar power installations were up 45% in 2013 from 2012. In Texas alone, covering half a roof with a solar panel is enough to generate all of the electricity used by an average family in the Lone Star State. Thanks to the boom in solar power used in America last year, the U.S. outpaced Germany in solar panel installations for the first time in 15 years. But solar power isn't the only clean and green form of energy on the rise. Wind power is also gaining traction. Wind power accounted for 42% of new energy generating capacity back in 2012, making wind power the number one source of new energy capacity that year in the United States. In Iowa alone, wind power generated nearly a quarter of that state's electricity in 2012. In Texas, it accounted for nearly 10% of energy generated. Finally, what about the arguments that oil from the Keystone XL pipeline will help reduce gas prices across the nation and make us more energy independent? Well, even TransCanada has said that oil from the Keystone XL pipeline isn't guaranteed to stay in America. Back in 2012, during a congressional hearing on the pipeline project, Alex Pourbaix, the head of TransCanada's pipeline division, was asked if he would support legislation requiring Canadian tar sands oil and its byproducts to be sold only in the United States. And he replied, no, I can't do that. And a whole bunch of other studies have found that much of the oil transported through the Keystone XL pipeline is going to be exported. That's why they're trying to get it to the Gulf of Mexico. We won't see a drop of that toxic, dirty, and dangerous tar sands oil unless, of course, we're forced to deal with the tar sands oil spill disaster. The Keystone XL Pipeline will cause gas prices to rise, not fall. A report by Consumer Watchdog found that if the Keystone XL Pipeline is approved, Americans, especially in the Midwest, will see higher gas prices adding up to an additional $3 to $4 billion a year. That's roughly a 20 to 40% increase on a gallon of gas in the Midwest and a few cents increase everywhere else. Because right now, the Keystone Pipeline ends in the Midwest. And, in refineries in St. Louis and Ohio and Indiana and Missouri, Ohio, Indiana. You shut those refineries down, you move all that stuff down to the Gulf Coast, and you start exporting it. Guess what happens? The price of gas goes up in the Midwest. We fought hard to make our voices heard about the Keystone XL Pipeline over the past few years. And finally, the government is beginning to realize the grave effects that the Keystone XL Pipeline could have on our climate. But the fight isn't over. We cannot let those people who think that that pipeline is inevitable peddle that story. Or that America is always going to be a fossil fuel dependent nation. We can't let them erase the progress that we've made. Most importantly, we need to make it clear to big oil, the Obama administration, and their supporters that we aren't going to just sit back. We aren't just going to lie back and enjoy the Keystone XL Pipeline and the toxic, dirty, and dangerous oil that it could be transporting. It's time to stop the environmental rape of America and our planet once and for all.